Hey, this is Wileen Benson, and you are on the Daily Gratitude Call, where we start every day in gratitude. Gratitude is the highest energy state that we can be in. It creates a frequency of positive vibration that attracts positive experiences into our lives. Hey everybody, this is Wileen Benson. This is our Daily Gratitude Call. Super excited to be on the call with you today and really excited for what we get to learn. For our private meditation today, our 90-second private meditation, we're going to be focusing on gratitude for clarity on next steps and to see what that brings to us. So 90 seconds, private silent meditation, just write down whatever comes to you. Gratitude for clarity on next steps. Begin. Right. Let's write this last thought. This has been a really awesome week for me. I would say probably the end of last week, so it's probably been almost a week since I made this commitment to have my inspired shortcut really be the only thing that is on my list. And if anything else gets done, that it really is just icing on the cake. And I know I say that a lot, but I would always have a list of 5 or 6 things that were beyond my inspired shortcut and, still wanting to accomplish as many of those as possible. But this last week, it's been just a really fun experiment to only have my inspired shortcut, and those other things I actually put like on a sticky note, and I'm just fine just moving that sticky note forward, not even looking at it if it's the end of the workday and I just finished my inspired shortcut, I just leave my office and I don't even look at those sticky notes. And it's been that sticky note, there's just one. And it's been really interesting how peaceful it is to only have the one thing. And it's helped me understand the difference between the word priority and priorities. We somehow added the IES on the end of that word. And I'm sure, I haven't done this, but I'm sure if I looked up in the dictionary, it would say a priority is like the one most important thing. Priorities means there's more than one, so it's no longer a priority. And so I don't even think priority, I think it's false to even put an S on the end of that. But I've watched this week as I have only focused on the one thing, and things have fallen off of my list. And most of them were not done by me, didn't have to be done by me, or all of a sudden it just wasn't important that they were done. And there's just an ease. The resources that I've needed have shown up in exactly the perfect moment. There's just such a ease and a peace when, well, I've been only focusing on the one thing this past week. And the thought came to me just at the end of the meditation. This was what I had to hurry and get written down as the timer was going off, that I remember when I was a young mother and babies, and you get up when the baby gets up. You get up in the middle of the night when the baby gets up. And I just remember it sometimes was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon when I got in the shower. And I felt so unfulfilled and unfinished and just really judgmental of myself at the end of the day, because it felt like if I got one thing done, it was like a celebration. And that thought came back to me today. And I realized that if I had known what I know now, I could have really experienced that as a celebration, instead of, seeing that getting the one thing done as a reason to be judgmental of myself. That now I see the one thing is the only thing. It's the only important thing. And it's, one thing accomplished is when it's the one most important thing, it just is not even really, I don't even see it as cause for celebration now. It's just what I do. It's just who I am. And everything else, if it gets done, great. If it doesn't, then maybe it will be the one most important thing tomorrow. But if it's not, it can just stay on that sticky note and move forward until it gets crossed off one way or the other. Who else has something they would like to share?
I'd like to share.
Okay, thanks, Tammy.
So I have this image come to my mind of like standing in front of this wall and peeling layers of paint off away, and I was thinking of those layers that I was peeling away as my limiting beliefs. And as I peel all of those off, and as I've been consistent in doing that over the last couple of years, I'm then able to see myself and my relationship to God clearly, and able to understand that He has always been speaking to me, that I do know His voice, and that He loves me because I am His child, and He wants to give me everything in His kingdom.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you. What a great visual. And, God is always speaking. Christ's hand is always outstretched to us. And when we get those layers on top of us, He can see us, but we can't see Him because those layers. And what a powerful moment when you've peeled enough of those layers back that you can actually feel that connection. Thank you. Who else?
Along that line, I wrote, as I move through the darkness alone, I can feel lost and afraid and confused and anxious, and I can't even see anything. But when I pray, it's like reaching out my hands and arms to the angels in Christ who completely surround me and are there hoping to lead me through the muck.
Beautiful. Thank you. It's a great visual as well. We all get stuck in those dark places, but we always know where to find the light, don't we? Looking up. Thank you. Who else?
Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
The clarity on next step was a decisive plan that I know and feel God wants for me. It is unconfused, clear, and specific, that I can gain faith in that inspiration.
Beautiful. I was talking to one of my clients yesterday, and she was having a hard time seeing over the gap. It's like, here I am, and here's where I want to be. And I told her that faith fills the gap. Faith is the bridge. And that's so powerful to have that, receive that plan, that decisive plan that God wants for you, but it takes faith to take action on it. Thank you. Who else? A couple more shares.
I had a thought.
Okay.
A saying that I like is, the most important thing is to keep the most important thing the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Thank you. Do you know who said that?
I don't.
Sounds
I've
like
heard it several places.
Okay. Sounds
I
like
don't know who the
Mhm.
first person was.
Cool. It sounds like a Stephen Covey thing, but might have to look that up. Thank you.
I think he did say that. I don't know if he was the original, but it might be him.
Cool. Anybody else?
Sure. I just read again the jar with the rocks in, and putting the most important things in first. And we do have a lot of different areas of our lives that we need to pay attention to. But what was coming out of it too was that when you say what's the most important thing to you, and a lot of people will say, well, family, God, country, these are all really important. And then we take a look at, well, where do you spend most of your time? And like my friend who was a lawyer and was going to work before the sun came up and wasn't getting home until his kids were in bed. And he loved being a lawyer, but he did not love missing out on all of the time with his family. So he made a change in his life, and he's now able to do the things that he wants to do with his family, and creating an income that is more than what he was making as a lawyer. And just what a perfect example of putting the first things first, and realizing that if you're spending all of your time away from your family, but you're saying your family is most important, it was just a life-changing event for him, and what an example he's been to me.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you. And that takes a lot of faith too, because we make choices based on sort of indoctrinated beliefs, what society thinks, and we want to fit in with society. That's kind of that caveman brain, tells us we need to be safe, we need to be accepted within our society. And the choices that we make in employment a lot of times are cause those choices, or those, that societal, desire to fit in is what causes those choices. But I love what you're saying, that, we can say what we think is important, but what we actually do, and the big rocks that we put in first, are the ones, that really tell what our deepest held beliefs are. And if we're not in alignment, if we know something but we're not acting according to that, then there's definitely a limiting belief that's keeping us from stepping up, something that is based in fear. I heard somebody say that if you want to know what people truly believe, you check their calendar and their checkbook, because wherever you spend your money, your time, your energy, your resources, that's what you feel is really important.
What was really amazing about this too was that when he was stepping out of being a lawyer and going into a networking event, people just thought he was crazy. It's like, you spend all that time and money to become a lawyer, and what are you doing? So there was a lot of social impact that was surrounding him, but he just was brave enough to say, that was never my end game. I thought that being a lawyer was going to get me all the things that I wanted. And looking at other lawyers who were further down the road that weren't living the life that he wanted with his family, he just realized it was important to make that change. And it was the best thing ever.
Well, yeah. And depending on, where your gifts lie, and what the most important, what your purpose is, what the most important thing is for us to be doing on an eternal level, life purpose, that type of thing. Some people would choose to do something that is, takes a lot of their time and energy and effort, and it's very authentic to them. And then there are other people who are doing it because they're afraid, that they wouldn't have security if they didn't do that or something. And that would be based in fear, where the other person is doing it based in love. It's like, I'm fueled by this. I love this. So different. And other people looking from the outside would think they were crazy, regardless of what their choices are. But when you're really confident and clear within yourself, what was it? We focused on clarity on next steps. So clarity is the biggest part of this, is being clear of where you're going. If you're taking a step in the wrong direction that's not taking you where you want to be, then, definitely it's not going to take us to a fulfilling and happy life. So we have to have a clarity on our destination before we know what our next steps are, before we can be clear on our next steps.
I just thought of that book, You Are Special by Max Lucado, and how, for me, sometimes I get stuck in negative self-thinking and how that distracts from my clarity. And so if I will just take the time to, spend in meditation and prayer and really connect with God and feel that confidence in myself, then it helps me to understand what my next steps are and to follow through.
Beautiful. I think those kind of work together. Self-confidence, confidence in our connection with God, and clarity. That when we have clarity, we have self-confidence. When we have self-confidence, we can find clarity. I feel like they kind of work together. Thank you. Any other thoughts before we shift over to our permission process?
I have a quick one.
Okay. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, a lot of things came to me, but just when you were talking about priorities versus priority, the thing that really stood out to me that I wrote down was kind of that you need to fill your own cup before you can fill other people's cup. And at least for me, that's kind of like the ultimate priority, to be able to make sure that I'm in the best place to be able to serve other people.
Well, thank you. That's definitely a great reminder. I know the very first lesson in the Lord's Way to Wealth is my creation comes first. And that might sound a little bit selfish just out of context, but when you really put it into perspective, like you're talking about, Sean, filling your own cup, putting your oxygen mask on, building something yourself so that you can actually be a resource for other people. If we're, so busy doing things for other people that are not taking us to our own, highest level of fulfillment and purpose, then we're on the wrong path. We're on somebody else's path. Thank you. Let's go ahead and take a deep breath. I feel like we've created a lot of really wonderful ideas that we can kind of let these, just meditate on these new ideas. Let's go ahead and take a deep breath. And one more deep breath. And as you're getting into a space of just being relaxed and calm, peace, connecting with God, just invite us to be aware of any areas in our life where we might have been out of alignment. Maybe we've been saying something is important, but we haven't really been putting the time and effort that it deserves. So just being aware of an area in your life that maybe needs some help with that. A little more clarity, a little more inner honesty. And also, when you're clear on what that area is, where you could be a little bit more in integrity with what you say that you believe and where you actually spend your time and your resources, your money. Also, take into consideration the final destination. Because as we're asking for clarity on next steps, it's important that our feet are pointed in the right direction. We know where we're going. So just be aware of the final destination, that finish line that you are seeking for in this particular area. And for right now in this moment, just allow yourself to float forward into that final destination. That with ease and peace and confidence, that you just float forward and allow yourself to drop down into that final destination and feel the experience of it right now. Is it as wonderful as you had anticipated? Is it more wonderful than you'd ever dreamed possible? Or is it something that you thought you wanted, but as you look around, there's something that actually is more important? Just be aware. No judgment if what you thought was not exactly true. And also no judgment if your imagination wasn't broad enough that it was actually better than you could have even imagined. Just allow yourself to get the truth. And as you're feeling the truth right now, just check inside and allow yourself, your whole being, your soul, your spirit, your heart, your mind, everything to become in alignment with this final destination. And if wherever it was that you were headed, if you found that this isn't what you wanted, find the new destination. What is the new perfect scenario that now you are aware because you visited this place and maybe it wasn't exactly what you thought? It's time to choose again. And the great thing is that you've saved yourself a lot of time and energy by knowing ahead of time and making a different choice. And take one more deep breath. Feel yourself aligning with that final destination, becoming the person that deserves to be here, that is worthy to be here, that is, it's like the square peg in the square hole, finally. And as you are becoming more aware of the things that you need to change to become more in alignment with this final destination, what is the one priority? What is the one most important thing for you to change right now? All those other things will come eventually, but there's one first one that is the most important priority right now. The first step, just gain some clarity on what that first step is to help you align with this final destination and become the cellular match for this final destination, that you can live here and be completely comfortable. What is the one most important thing that you can change today? One most important step, your inspired shortcut to start your journey towards this final destination. And also be aware of the limiting belief that might be showing up. Maybe it was a limiting belief that showed up as soon as you dropped down into that destination about how you were not enough. Or maybe it is a limiting belief that's showing up about this first step, this inspired shortcut that you just received. Maybe it sounds too hard. Maybe it seems too simple. Whatever that limiting belief is, write that down. And then also examine the cost of it. What is the cost? What would be the outcome if you hold on to that limiting belief? And now that you're clear on your next step, and you also are clear on a limiting belief that might hold you back from taking that next step, you get to choose. You can keep that limiting belief, or you can give yourself permission to choose a new belief. And if you're ready to give yourself permission to choose a new belief, say yes.
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 Awesome. So what are those new beliefs? Let's choose 2 or 3 new beliefs that will take the place of that old limiting belief, will create a different outcome, and will empower you to take action on that next step that will move you that much further towards your final destination. What are your new beliefs? And as you're getting that list of new beliefs, I invite you to really take those in. Allow those new beliefs to become part of you, that they are helping to quantum leap you forward, and that you can feel the changes, the vibration and the changes within your body happening. The energy is actually shifting so that you're feeling more of positive expectation, more faith, more confidence in yourself, a stronger connection, almost like a physical cord that is pulling you towards this final destination. It's not even it's not a hike anymore. It's just like it's like being on the airport conveyor belts. It's just pulling you towards your final destination. Just feel how much easier life is with these new beliefs, how much easier your journey is. And use those new beliefs to really empower you and give you the courage to take action on that first most important step today. In a moment, I'm going to open it up for some shares. And before I do that, I want to just also offer my services for anybody who is feeling like that they need that extra help to just help you gain clarity on your next step or gain more clarity on that final destination, help you find the reason, the why, the motivation to continue when things get hard. Whatever it is that you feel like you need extra support with, I would love to have a conversation with you. And all you have to do is just go to askwylene.com, and that will take you directly to my calendar, and you can schedule a 15-minute call. Askwylene.com, and you'll be able to choose a time that's convenient for you and have that free 15 minutes with me. Who has something that they would like to share about their experience today?
Okay, I'll share.
Thanks, Kathy.
What was really coming up for me is that, sometimes there are hard things that we need to do and we might avoid them, but the thought was that if we're willing to do hard things, life is easy. But if we're not willing to do hard things, if we're only willing to do the easy things, then life can be really, really hard. And sometimes there's a conflict because the thing that's important to me to do right now today might not be the thing that's important to my husband to do. And I'm trying to figure out how we can do both, and realizing that it doesn't have to be hard, that we really can fit the things in for both of us.
Well, beautiful. Thank you. I feel to mention that things do seem challenging, especially when it's something that we didn't think of. Sometimes it is something that I thought of, but especially if it's a divine inspiration. I know these inspired shortcuts quantum leap us forward, and usually a quantum leap forward is there's some stepping out of your comfort zone involved. And a limiting belief, about stepping outside of your comfort zone, that's scary or whatever, can turn a very simple step that God has given us into a hard thing. And so being aware that if it feels hard, if it feels scary, then that's fear energy, and all fear energy is rooted in a limiting belief. So identifying what that limiting belief is, like you have, Kathy. If my husband has something that he wants to do and I have something that I want to do, we can't do both. Well, that's a limiting belief. So I'm glad that you are willing to accept the idea that we can both get our one most important thing done. There's plenty of time in the day for everything to get accomplished. It feels so much easier. Thank you.
True. And the thought that came up with that was that I think it was a church leader, President Grant, that said something to the effect of, the more you do a thing, the easier it becomes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true. I think you're right. I think it was him and Heber J. Grant. And the more that we follow our inspired shortcuts, the easier it is to follow our inspired shortcuts, even if they seem challenging in the beginning. Thank you. Any last thoughts before we end our call today?
Sure.
Okay, Scott.
What do I need to change? What's the first step? Well, having faith, having confidence in God, that God has confidence in me as his partner. God will guide me as I allow him and find that confidence together. That limiting belief is feeling unworthy of that confidence from God in me. Limiting belief that people are not aligned to hear me, or people are not wanting and they're not prepared. I don't know how to take that next step. The cost is, it keeps me stopped and floundering. My new belief is people are my resources. When I get aligned with God, God will align me and others as my resources. And it's okay to feel uncomfortable.
Wow, those are all really powerful. And I love this idea. I mean, just think about this. We always talk about taking God as our partner. That sounds very selfish in a way compared to what you said. I have faith that God has confidence in me as his partner. Wow, what a difference. What a new perspective. Thank you. So powerful. Melinda, I think I saw that you had unmuted earlier. Did you have something you wanted to share before we end?
I think that Scott helped me. I had a similar experience like Kathy, where my new belief still ended up, well, I don't know if this is exactly like hers, but my new belief still ended up a limiting belief. And I'm like, what is going on? That hasn't happened before. But Scott helped me realize that I wasn't counting the cost and seeing that the cost is so important, and also taking God as my partner helps me to find that new belief. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Well, I appreciate everything that has been shared. We are going to go ahead and end. I would love to continue this conversation, and we can on the Facebook group. So just invite anybody that has something that they'd like to continue sharing, or if you're listening to this call after the fact and you want to share some thoughts, go to the Facebook group, Breakthrough with Gratitude. We'd love to interact with you there. And thank you all for being on our call today. I do have a conference, a virtual conference later today at 1 o'clock Mountain Time, 3 o'clock Eastern Time. It's called Evolve, Creating Your, I'm doing this from memory, Create a Career of Purpose and Prosperity in the Post-COVID-19 Economy. And I hope that every single one of you will register for that. You can find a link to register for that on the Facebook group, Breakthrough with Gratitude. So go there, or on my personal page, on my business page. It's the links everywhere. Anywhere you find me, you'll find that link. So I'd love to see you all there and see what we get to continue to learn about clarity on next steps and building your own creation with God as your partner. And just repeating what Scott said, I have faith that God has confidence in me as his partner. Super powerful. So look forward to being back together tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Mountain Time right here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Hey, thanks so much for listening. And I encourage you to tune in every day to the Daily Gratitude Call. And the Daily Gratitude Call happens live every weekday morning. I'd love to have you join. So to find out how to join live, go to my website, WileenBenson.com. Thanks for tuning in.